Yo, 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 yo. What's good, my brother?
I'm alright. How are you, sir?
I am lovely, my king.
Yes, sir.
It is a cold day in Cape Town today. I
It
can
is
see you
indeed.
puffed up, puffed up,
You
sweatpants.
feel me?
We
You
see the
feel me?
threes
You
with
feel
the
me?
beanie.
Yes, sir.
Eish,
Yes,
was
sir.
it difficult to get out of bed this morning? Because you look like a
I
heavy sleeper, are you?
Nah, it was hectic though, because I like went to sleep really late last night. Just like I love working in a quiet space.
Mm,
During the day, it's always busy.
busy.
There's like too many distractions on my phone. Too many people trying to get a hold of me. Too much stuff I have to do. So I'm like, yo, like 3 a.m., 2 a.m. just working is the best thing ever.
Damn, what about the silence in the night, bro, that brings a calmness?
Dog, it just makes me like a clear mind. You
Mm,
know, it's like I can actually just sit and say, okay, this is what I need to figure out and figure it out.
out.
So yeah, I love working like early hours of the morning.
How's Cape Town being, bro?
Cape Town's been cool.
Mm.
It's been cold. It's been
Mm.
a lot going on. Been here for a few weeks now. Just like was busy shop fitting and all of that stuff. Biggest headache ever.
Oh man.
Um, just getting it together and all of that type of stuff. But it's there now. So now it's like the actual hard work of like activating and constantly having, I guess, presence in store is where we at right now. So
Oh man. Saturday we were there. Beautiful introduction. I mean, damn. So much that we're gonna cover in the conversation, but I just want to start off that like high moments. At the VNA, from all of Africa to the VNA. Your mom was there, your dad was there, your brother was there, your whole like collective of homies were there. Like, how has that like, how is that moment like? Has it sunk in yet, bro? Like, have you? How has conversation been building up to the installation and the activation, and how are you feeling right now post activation?
I think definitely like relieved. One part of me is relieved, but the next part of me is like, yo, let's go. We have to keep it active. We have to keep going, keep activating and all of that stuff, you know? I think a lot of the times with me is like, I have to keep busy. I need to like run to the next chase and like, you know, keep it going, which at times is unhealthy because it's like, you know, you need to also chill and like take time for yourself and like resets and really just look at, you know, what you've created and like praise yourself, I guess, and look back and be like, well, you know, I've actually come kind of far and
Has
been
it?
able to build these spaces. So I do take time to often reflect and just look and like think to myself like, whoa, like there's two massive stores that are running now in like really good areas or like really, I guess, premium destinations. You know, Mall of Africa and the waterfront um, are definitely retail locations that, you know, kind of adds value to the brand. You know, so yeah, it's been a fun journey, and like for me, it's always just been able to like figure out how to get these deals in place, how to, you know, get these leases up, how to continue like allowing the brand to kind of play in those kind of places. And now it's about, okay, cool, we got to activate, we got to continue pushing out new product, new ranges, and just give as much opportunity to the kids as possible. I think that's the main thing that for me I've always found passionate about is like, wait, how do we like ultimately change the lives of kids and human beings in a positive way, you know? I constantly look at, I guess, kids, and you know, like something that like hit me is like I'll speak to a lot of kids in Joburg, and you know, something as simple as they've never been to the beach, you know, and that stuff hits me. I'm like, whoa, like what? You never been to the beach? Like what? And then you know, constantly finding ways to, you know, allow people to get that inspiration. You know, allow people to, I guess, get inspired by the work that I do and the stuff that we do as a team at Grade. I want people to surpass grade. I want people to, you know, see grade as almost like a stepping stone to help them achieve their dreams. And, you know, there will always be people within those spaces that I think we will always inspire. I think they will always look up to the brand, and it's something that it's also relatable. You know, it's something that is aspirational as well. And that's what I love to create with grade. So I think just having those two spaces allows for people in Cape Town, allows for people in Joburg to interact with us, both online and, you know, offline as well.
Thank you for that like thorough introduction of like the intention behind the beautiful brand that you run now called Great Africa. But I think the real question at hand, rather, or premise, is that people would love to know how the journey began and how everything sort of like amounted to where you are right now. Firstly, flowers and congratulations for the amazing things that you've done with the brand, both stores. But I want to take it back. 4 years old, your parents migrate to the States. You spent most of your childhood there. How has growing up in the States influenced your interest growing up as a kid?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely look at it as like a competitive advantage, to kids that grew up in South Africa, and I'm super blessed for that opportunity that, my parents have given me, to be able to see a different world at such a young age. Because to me, it was like that was all I knew. It was home, going to school on the yellow bus was normal, it wasn't anything special. It was just like, oh no, I'm going to school, I'm coming home, I'm, as from like a 5-year-old kid going to school, like it was normal. And I think when, like in the States, it was cool because I would constantly look at ways to make money. Like from a young age, I was constantly on a hustle, like whether it was buying Pokemon cards, trading it with people, or buying sneakers or and trading it with people. And like I remember I used to go to even the dump, like the dump yard, almost like a scrap yard where, oftentimes if you have like a tree that you cut in your backyard or something like that, I would go with my dad to dump it. And I remember they had a section they called Too Good to Waste. And in the section, it's stuff that, people would put there. It would often be like a couch or a table or, just something that they no longer need or stuff. So I remember one day I went in there and I saw like 6 chainsaws. Because like the stuff you're going to find there are like the most randomest stuff. There's a section with like big dumpsters where you throw stuff out. And then, yeah, there's Too Good to Waste section. And I was like, okay, cool. You know what? I'm going to buy this. I mean, no, it's free. Everything there's free. You pay like $2, probably like 60 Rand to get into the dump, to dump your stuff. But in the Too Good to Waste, I was like, okay, let me take this chainsaw. And I didn't really have an intention, but I was like, I got home, took pictures, put it on eBay, and it sold for like $150.
How old are you at this time?
Yo, maybe like between 9 and 12, somewhere there. Yeah, and I was just like, nah, I need, like, constantly doing that.
Yeah.
But always I would spend that money to buy shoes. So it would always go back into shoes, whatever I can do to get shoes, because also Civi's Day was every day. So, you can rock for it. Like kids, like I was in grade 6 rocking Jordan 18, like fresh stuff.
Every day. Yeah.
Like, it was wild. Like I would swap out my shoes. I would rock shoes 2-3 sizes bigger. Like my brother's hand-me-downs, all of that stuff. They would go to school earlier because they were like in a higher or a different school. Like I was probably in primary school, they were in high school. And yeah, like they would leave earlier. So I would go into his room when he's gone, wear the shoes, come back. I would come back earlier.
So you'd have that escape of not him finding out.
Exactly.
So would you then say like your first like sort of like entrepreneurial skills started with sneakers, right?
Yeah.
And with that, you knew you had the tool of like, okay, coming back from the States, what was the biggest, before we get into the entrepreneur like aspect of sneakers, what was the biggest culture shock? Because you came back at the age 16, right?
Yeah, I was 15 when I came back.
15, yeah.
I remember it because we came back to South Africa, it was December, probably like the 14th or 15th of December in 2008. Yeah. And normally like we would come to South Africa and, we would visit and leave, like come back for a month and, go back. This time I realized it was slightly different. We weren't going back.
It was a permanent move.
Yeah, so it was hard. It was really hard. Okay, that person can wait. It was really hard because obviously I had all my friends, everything that I've known was in the States. At 15, you're about to get a part-time job, you're about to get your driver's license, life is kind of changing, it's progressing in a different way while still at high school. So it hit me really hard when I came back. Like I hated South Africa. I was like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I here? My friends are going on spring break, like all of this type of stuff. So it really just put me in like a space where I couldn't really relate to a lot of people, because everything I knew was like the opposites. This side to my accent at the time was like super American. Like everything was, that was what I knew. To measuring with inches, to now needing to learn the metric system, or centimeters and shit. Um, and yeah, it was the hardest adjustment.
Wow.
So I would pretty much go to school, do my thing from like 9 to 3, and leave. Like it was hard for me to speak to anyone because a lot of the kids, in my opinion, was like quite immature. Like they would either constantly ask me about my accent, make comments about it, and I'm like, yo, man, I'm not really trying to hear nothing, or constantly ask me if I knew this celebrity, or like, yo, you from the States, you must know Kanye West, you must know this guy, and like they're like serious, like, you don't know them, like what? Like, I'm just like, man, guys, it's like it's hard because at this time I'm trying to adjust, but the questions and the stuff that people ask me, I'm just like, whoa. And yeah, I mean, I guess I slowly realized that like they don't really get to see kids from America coming to
Every
their
day.
school.
Yeah.
Like, there's this white elephant in the room. He's from America. Like what? So yeah, those days were hard, like really hard in school. Like literally just kept to myself constantly, and I would come home from school. And either try like speaking to my friends on MySpace or Facebook
That were back in the
back
States.
catching up with them. They're like, yo, man, when you coming back? I'm like, nah, like I'm this side, da 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 da. Because like even when I told everyone I was leaving, no one really believed me.
Believed you,
They were
yeah.
like, nah, you're not moving to South Africa. Like what? And yeah, I mean, I think sneakers and like fashion was really what like kept me going. My brothers were older than me, so people would constantly see like the sneakers and stuff that we would be wearing on, like weekends and stuff.
Let's talk about that. The early 2010s. Your older brother was on Cape Tech, and he was like the guy in terms of like if you needed a shoe from overseas, you needed to hit up that guy, right? So that made you like sort of like maintain a lot of relationships quite early before you actually taking the love for sneakers in a tangible establishment, which is like lost property. Take me through those days when you and your older brother were like running around in the streets trying to hustle sneakers for other people, getting it from the States. Who was your plug and how were you pulling it off? Because your mom is in your mom and your dad is in SA. You guys had fully moved back. Like, what were the channels like? And what was the sneaker culture like at that time? What were people wearing?
So I think locally in Cape Town, people were heavy on like bubbles, so like visible air units and all of that stuff.
Up tempos,
griffies, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Me, I never really messed with those shoes. I think like I was a lot more inspired by it by being in South Africa.
For sure.
SBs were always my thing.
For sure.
Dunks and SBs.
Still to this day.
Still to this day.
Yeah.
Like, that's my go-to, and I remember like what we would constantly do is I would have a whole bunch of homies in the States and be like, yo, man, I'm looking for this shoe. Or I would even just order it online. Foot Locker, eBays, all of that type of stuff. Send it to them, to their house from South Africa, like order, pay, everything. And then they would ship it to me. So another homie of ours worked at FedEx, employee discount. So it was easy just shipping stuff down. But then on this side, we would now need to deal with customs and all of that type of stuff, which is the biggest headache. So yeah, I mean, I think from there went into like different hoods across Cape Town, selling these shoes, and people were just amazed that we could get it. They were like, what? Like, how are you getting it?
What were some of the hoods that you were touching base for?
I mean, went into the Hanover Parks, a lot of stuff in Athlone, around like the southern suburbs as well, grassy parks.
Are these kids that also share the similar fascination you have for sneakers, or it's just like older guys trying to get fresh?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it was like older guys trying to get fresh, remembering it from like seeing their OGs wearing the stuff, and now they were in a position to be able to afford it and like access to it. So that was always the main thing about bringing access of this product in, because the local distributors weren't doing it, so yeah, constantly started importing and really just became the plug for, importing shoes. And then I would link up with like a lot of like other, I guess, people from like Joburg, which were now like local celebrities in a way. So like Scoop, Deleuze, all of these guys would I would like get product for them. So
For sure.
they would send me links of stuff they're looking for. I would go source it, find it, hit up people in the States, build relationships that side, and constantly go back and forth on building that. So that was like a really cool, fun era.
When does it become Lost Property?
So Lost Property, I think, launched in like 2010, somewhere there. And it was, Lost Property mail order constantly about just bringing in the shoes. I remember we would like print out catalogs. We would like do all of that type of stuff to get these shoes into the country. And yeah, I mean, I think it got to a point where, we were constantly importing it. Like we would always have the customs kind of fights, and that was like the most annoying part of importing it. And eventually I got to a point where it was like, I don't want to continue importing these shoes, because it was kind of twofold. There was also retailers locally. So pretty much I would go into like any retailer locally, because these shoes were sitting also here. So Jordan 1s were sitting, Easy ones, Nike Easy ones were sitting, Bread ones, Jordan 13, like all these Jordans were sitting on shelves.
Wow.
Foam posits, everything. So eventually I would go to these stores, link up with the managers and the owners, and be like, yo guys, let me take all of your stock, give me a 15% discount. And they would do it most of the time, like a lot of places would allow me to lay by 15 pairs of Jordan.
Wow. Are you still doing it alone, or is your older brother still in on it?
So he is, but also now he's getting married, he's moving on and progressing with life, and it's like I kind of took over from that.
For sure.
But yeah, definitely still there, moral support and all of that type of stuff. And even till today, it's still an amazing relationship. And yeah, even with Grail, he helps and assists where he can and all of that stuff as well. But yeah, I mean, it was now going to retailers and selling that stuff back to the States and importing other stuff from the States. So just going back and forth, bringing shoes in, exporting shoes
out.
And all of that. And I mean, that then allowed me to be able to, I guess, move product and, constantly build up that name of, okay, cool, sneakers, Zaid, go to him, and all of that type of things. And
so before we get to Lost Property becoming now a household name in terms of like sourcing sneakers across like South Africa, both Cape Town and Joburg, 2012, the drop of the Yeezy 2s at Shelf Life, like a lot of homies like always like relay that moment as like one of like the most significant drops in SA, because obviously of the magnitude of the shoe. A lot of homies, they tell me the story of like they met so many homies in that Yeezy line. Take me through, do you feel that was like one of the most significant like sneaker releases of the time, early 2010s? And you mentioned the Yeezy ones were sitting on the shelf, so the hype culture hasn't really like had risen at the time, or rather people weren't looking where they weren't supposed to be looking. But like, take me through the ecosystem of like that like Yeezy 2 drop moment.
Yeah, so I mean, even if we go back to the Yeezy ones, right? I remember Shelf Life dropped that in 2009.
Okay, first.
Yeah, so they had that drop, and there was a line for it, but I think it was kind of just like we wanted a line. We were excited about a line. Like, yo, man, there's a line in Africa.
For sure,
like, yo,
for sure.
Fun.
Fire.
It's so fun. Like, and that was amazing because that's where I met a lot of people. I remember that's where I met Hayden as well in that line. And just a bunch of other people. Hayden came to the launch or the line wearing the shoe.
Crazy.
Like, but yeah, it was dope. Like, that's where I kind of met a lot of people that I hadn't been kind of selling shoes to. And then that's where people also met me. They were like, wait, this kid can get us all these shoes. Like, what? That's crazy.
For sure.
But yeah, I mean, even after that, they still had a lot of pairs left.
Yeah.
And then like fast forward to the Yeezy 2 in 2012. That was a really cool moment. I remember what Nike did was a Twitter. So it was actually a raffle. It was
Wow.
probably like the first kind of
First.
raffle, because it was like you had to tweet. I think they put a tweet out, then you had to like DM them with your size, and then they like put it into a raffle. And they'll like alert you if you get it. So yeah, that was cool. I got the pair, then bought it at the line, and like again connected with a lot of
Individuals.
local sneakerheads and all of that space. And there was like a Nike Yeezy dinner and all of this type of stuff that we did, which was amazing.
Through Shelf Life.
Through Shelf Life, yeah, with Shelf Life, because they were the only people that released it. So yeah, that was an amazing and monumental space. I mean, that's when this stuff was fun. I remember like. Also, that time people were selling those Yeezys. There wasn't many pairs, but like 16K probably. Like it was ridiculous. People were, me included, were moving the pairs. Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy. So in that 2012 year where like all of these like, key monumental moments are occurring, you're telling yourself, okay, Lost Property is something that's like, known, but I want to create an event or curate a space where people can just come in under one roof and just like exchange sneakers. And then the following year, 2013, you have your first sneaker exchange. Take me through like what are the conversations there? Is sneaker exchange still like a solo brainchild idea? Are you mapping all of these like are you mapping all of these like brainstorming sessions alone, or is your older brother still involved? Like, what did Zaid's creative process look like back then, or if it's still the same to this day?
Sneaker exchange was pretty much fully myself at that time, and it was really just based off a lot of personal sneakers that I needed to get rid of.
Oh, it was you wanting to get rid of the sneakers.
100%.
Okay,
so,
okay.
I remember even to the name and all of that type of stuff, it was like, because also at this time when Sneaker Exchange came out, I think we did have the store, the Lost Property store was up and running just off Kloof Street. And yeah, from a Sneaker Exchange perspective and all of that, I remember the first one we did was at Tribe Coffee in Woodstock in the courtyard. Reached out to a couple of people. We had BMK, Bitches Must Know,
Damn.
and yeah,
what a
just
time.
like a couple of other brands on board, and like a table with shoes, boerewors rolls. And from that, I was like, whoa, there needs to be a space where we all can connect, and this culture that we're trying to curate can really grow. And I guess that is through meeting people and connecting with people and understanding that, okay, cool, how do we build this? Because those type of events I would go to in the States. I've been to a Dunk Exchange, I've been to a Sneaker Con and all of that type of stuff. So definitely got inspiration a lot from being that side and understanding how the sneaker culture and all of that moves that side. Early, I guess, 2000s, like Air Force Ones were big. That was even before really my time into the game, but I would see the Fat Joes, the Jada Kisses,
the fabulous,
100%, and the different colors. It was just different colors of Air Force Ones dropping, people lining up outside and, rocking a new color constantly each week. So I mean, I think that time it was mainly about, I have these shoes. How do we get rid of it? And it's crazy because around that same time, there was product that we had gotten from Nike as well, because we ended up getting a Nike account through Lost Property, and it was always about all these shoes that you're importing. Let's see how we bring that to you, and because you already have this customer base, we're trying to bring limited sneakers in. And all of that type of stuff. And ultimately, what had happened was we weren't really getting the allocations of product that we wanted. And the people that we were selling it to were like, but we want that stuff. Like, what's going on? And eventually then had a lot of products from Nike that we had to get rid of and understand like how we do that and all of that type of things. And yeah, really just that was a tricky moment of understanding, how do we get rid of this product? And that's how Sneaker Exchange was really born. So a mixture of that product and then other stuff that I had brought from the States and all of that type of stuff as well. And yeah, I mean, from there, that space grew. I think Sneaker Exchange almost overtook Lost Property into a space of, people are looking at this this event property.
Mm.
And the greatest thing with the event property is that we would now rack up sponsorships. So brands that not necessarily involved in sneaker culture and youth culture at all really would now come on board as our partner. You know, we had Power Play for a couple of years. We had brands like Absolute. We had a couple of other brands, even Nike, activating within Sneaker Exchange. And yeah, I mean, Adidas, New Balance, you know, all of these brands activating at Sneaker Exchange, doing amazing campaigns and all of that stuff through the event.
Channel O.
100% as our media partner. And that was cool because now it's like, whoa, these brands are paying you for their brand to be present at your event. So it's like that was crazy. But now you're also learning about event management, to the logistics that go back to it, to the different public liability insurances, to the liquor licenses, to all of this like red tape that you got to make sure that you stay ahead of, you know, to the event permits, to all of that type of stuff to ensure safety of all the guests coming in, because the event slowly grew from 80 people to 300 people to 3,000 people. And at that, it's like, you know, you're learning as you're growing. And yeah, on the event, I then got a partner, Toboho, in on Sneaker Exchange, and you know, we kind of just worked together to build it to where it's at today. And then yeah, it was constantly growing until COVID hits, and now you know we definitely are looking at bringing it back.
So, like you mentioned that like Sneaker Exchange grew from 30 people to 300 people to 3,000 people, but I think what's key to realize is that you're responsible for raising a lot of South African youth. So many of us grew up going to Sneaker Exchange. So many of us had key moments and memories at Sneaker Exchange. I think for me, the most memorable Sneaker Exchange that you've like ever put together was the one in 2017 at the Lookout. I remember the lineup was also crazy, but not just the premise of the lineup. You had the homies from Daily Paper do a talk about like how their journey of becoming was, even though the premise of our youth was like necessarily party orientated, but I was one of the few individuals that actually took in. Later on, we've had like a party, like some of the most like beautiful like your performances. I don't know, like Major League was there, Anati was there, Shane Eagle was there, and the late great Ricky Rick, of which we'll touch on later. But damn, bro, like how does it make you feel that like you morphed a reference point for South African youth culture that we will always equate to, because there's not a lot of events that had a longevity or connection or relatability like Sneaker Exchange. You inspired a generation. You allowed opportunities for key people or individuals to meet. And also you build a bridge between all the three cities, that being Durban, Joburg, and Cape Town.
Yeah.
Take me through that ecosystem, bro. Like, I don't, like, let me continue rambling. I don't think, bro, there's amount of words that can ever describe the feeling I had going to Sneaker Exchanges and growing up to Sneaker Exchanges. And I feel like this is like very key that, like, bro, you understand that, like, we as the youth or the generation that's before you are after you, after you, we'll always be indebted we'll always be indebted to you, bro. Like eternal flowers, bro. Like, damn, just take me through that specifically the one at the Lookout in Cape Town, because that's, I would say, my biggest reference point out of all the ones that I've attended prior.
Yeah. No, the Lookout one was crazy, you know, because you know there's so much that goes into putting an event together. So even just with that, I remember, I think our capacity for the day was like 1,800 people or something. And that's always one thing, because finding venues in Cape Town is like the most trickiest kind of space. So when we found that, we were like, okay, cool, let's figure out how we make it work. It was super expensive. It was just like so much going into that event, you know? And to be honest, like that was still very early days. I remember we didn't have fencing in front of the stage.
Yes.
So that's like a very key thing of, you know, we need to have that. And I don't know if you remember Ricky's performance.
I was right in front.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, like I was on stage at
Yo.
that time as well, and I had never felt that, like, I guess that pressure, because you're like, yo, anything can go wrong at any time here. But at the same time, it was just that amount of energy and seeing those kids looking at Ricky and performing with him and moving from side to side. And yeah, that energy is like the most undeniable thing ever, you know? And yeah, I mean, that event, it's crazy because even when a lot of times when I'll like go to like sponsors and all of that type of stuff, I'll always reference that event.
Wow.
And the crazy thing is, I remember one year I was at Agenda Fest in Las Vegas, in Long Beach, in LA, and I'm walking at this event, and I'm just like, oh, okay, cool, you know, like just came back into it. I walk into IBN Jasper, so I'm like, yo, I'm a big fan of yours, da 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 da, just rambling. He looks at me, he's like, the fuck. I'm like, yo, man, relax. Like I'm a big fan of yours. I'm from South Africa. Da 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 da. I'm just rambling. I pull out my laptop, show him the event, show him that video, and he's like, and that Ricky performance. He was like, yo, man, is this South Africa? Like, wait, what? Like, what's going on? Like, this is crazy, you know. And what I've always realized is locally we really are telling our own kind of story, our own, we narrating our own story, you know. And those people that we touch through that, like, it travels so far, and that inspiration and all of that stuff travels so far, you know. So it's constantly looking at, when we do events, like, one, how do we inspire the kids at home so that they are able to travel and take that even further, you know, because oftentimes it's a platform, and you need to give these kids a stepping stone to be able to let them see what they're not seeing. And whether that's in fashion, whether it's a local clothing brand, or whether it's a local artist, or whether it's a illustrator, graffiti artist, you know, you can go on in the different kind of crafts. But there needs to be that opportunity to show these kids that, yo, your dreams or whatever are actually valid, are actually possible. And that's the most important thing about Sneaker Exchange, because I look at the event now and we're like, yo, I want to bring it back and all of that type of stuff, but there's so much logistics and all of the stuff that goes into it. But I'm like, the impact that that event has onto people is so undeniable, that it is such an important part, like, in culture, that it needs to continue going on. It's like, it's crazy because when a lot of the stuff that I've created is, it's like a lot bigger than myself, and it's like it needs to go past there and surpass me. And like, I remember one year I was in Joburg and I was just waiting in line at one of the food vendors, like, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna wait in line, you know. And this guy's like, yo, man, this event is so sick, da 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 da, and he's rambling on, but he doesn't know I run the event. So he's like, yo, he's asking me, is this my first one? I'm just like, nah, I've been here before, like, you know, just like, you know, playing with him, whatever. And yeah, I think that impact is so key, and that impact to the youth is what is really needed. And that's why I'm like, whenever we do the event, it's like we have to empower the youth as much as possible. From Platform Hour, where there are kids coming through, putting the amount of requests that we get for Platform Hour, we'll probably get like 1,000 plus emails, songs, all of this stuff. Please, I need to be on here. I need to be on here. I need to be on here. It's maybe like 15 people we select. So it's like, it's so hectic. But yeah, I mean, I think with the event and all of that stuff, I've realized it's so much bigger, and it plays a very important part in the youth and inspiration for the youth. So yeah, we definitely are trying to bring it back, trying to see how we take it as a step further. Maybe a slight rebrand, refresh, and, you know, definitely come back with something fresh very soon.
What were your biggest like challenges, like, undergoing through the business of sneakers? Because I would equate the event Sneaker Exchange falling under the business of sneakers, and also like pop culture, cross culture, because it's so multi like facet with music, fashion, and sneakers. But sneakers falling under fashion.
Yeah.
What were some of the like, how were you able to navigate now from just like being this guy who has a passion just for the love of sneakers to being a guy in boardrooms pitching an event idea that would obviously speak for not just you but a generation that's going to come after you?
Yeah.
How important was it for you to maintain those relationships in a corporate pool,
Yeah.
or rather pitch the idea in a manner that like a corporate would or big sponsor would understand?
So it's crazy because the amount of times we would get no's from these corporates.
Talk about those no's, bro.
That is like the trickiest thing, because oftentimes there's brand and then there's also agency. So when you're dealing with brand directly, sometimes they understand it. They're like, yo, this is where we need to play and all of that type of stuff. But when you're dealing with agency, you're oftentimes getting only a third of what the brand is actually paying you. And it's just like the biggest headache, you know? So I think it's always looking at, one, how do we get directly to brand and understand from brand, and oftentimes working with brand as their agencies is very key, you know. But at the same time with that, I mean, there are also amazing agencies out there that, are pushing and understand creators and, also want to see this culture grow and all of that as well. A lot of times brands will also just come in and come out. So we've seen that with sponsors of like, okay, cool, you know what, let's go here, let's get this content, all of this type of stuff. And then, okay, cool, we've got everything we needed, let's go. So it's like it's a hit and miss with sponsors. And I think the main thing is like understanding, okay, cool, locking it down with partners that you can have some longevity with, you can really build with them is always really key. But also like in a lot of these meetings I would go into, like at that, like when I was, pushing Sneaker Exchange, I'm always the youngest kid in the meeting. So people often don't pay you that respect. They look at you like, yo, man, you're just trying to come here to get all this money, but like, what are you doing? I remember I went to one of these footwear brands. I won't say their name, but they collaborate with some of these artists and global I guess figures. And the amount of money that I asked for them was probably like, at that time, maybe like 10 or 15K. And the amount of work and everything else for that, and like the justification and all of that type of stuff, I was like, guys, like,
it shouldn't be. Yeah.
It's firstly not even like a lot of money, but like, why am I going through all of this? And then it's always just like, I think people try and challenge you, and oftentimes in a lot of these spaces at that time, it's older white people that are constantly have seen one kind of space, have constantly deal with these agencies that have long-term agreements in place. And when there's someone new coming into the space, it's like, whoa, what's going on? Yeah, you're taking money off the table and all of that type of stuff. So it was always, that type of stuff. But I think it's like, I've always just learned to keep my cool, and like, I would just leave it, I'll just be like, man, okay, cool, you guys don't understand. It's fine. Eventually you guys will have to come back around, because what we're building is not just something for clout. It's something, it's the truth. It's something that is real. It's something that these brands are making millions and billions of dollars by using this culture, so, why can't you give back? Why can't you empower? Why can't you build this space, and yeah, I mean, that was always the trickiest part on dealing with these sponsors. As time goes on, you build your portfolio, you have references, you have all of these things, and then it does become a bit easier, because people kind of look at it as like, okay, those guys are specialists in that space. Speak to them if you need X, Y, and Z done. But yeah, it's been a massive journey, Oftentimes I also feel like when you kind of are able to speak to someone out of the country first, and then they understand the vision, that's where a lot of the stuff actually gets done. And then they will be like, whoa, this is actually what we need for South Africa or Africa, and then it gets implemented.
from an international pool
Conversation
converser
down.
down.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Thank you for that, bro. And then Just Dala, Bubbleheads of Cape Town, which is a quote from, rather derived from Bubble Copper, that was created by Justin from Bubble Copper. Take me through that documentary, bro. Take me through the making of that documentary. I think for me, that, or for many of us rather, that documentary served as a big reference point to sneaker culture in Cape Town. It spoke for a way of life that like is synonymous to Cape Town. I think what kids need to understand is that like hip hop culture and like sneakers is really something that was coined and like and really enjoyed and like pushed forward like in Cape Town, you know, amongst like the gangster guys, the young cats who was trying to make hip hop, the breakdancers of the world, and obviously so many different emblems through the colorfulness that resides here in Cape Town. But take me through the making of that documentary by the homie Imran Christians. Take me through the experience of Soul DXB and sort of like the merit of homies that were included in that trip. And what was it like, bro? Damn, that was a crazy
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, no, that was amazing. And I remember when Imran kind of came to me about the documentary and all of that, he was like, look, man, like, you play such an important role in this space because it was like the plug to get this product in. And I think a lot of the times, like, everyone in that documentary plays a very important part and an important role in, I guess, sneaker culture locally. And even just being able to tell that story and have that like podcast conversation at Soul DXB, that was crazy because now we're giving an outside world like kind of in of what we are and who we are and how we represent it. Because oftentimes people would just be like, okay, cool, you know, these guys are doing the things, but they don't really understand where it kind of comes from or the feeling and the impact, you know, that a lot of things have on community. So I think that was amazing, and just from High Snobiety to doing it at Sneaker Exchange, the documentary release, and then taking it to Dubai, that was just like next level. Yeah, meeting the High Snobiety people, having that relationship with them now is like amazing, and just trying to see how we can kind of build it. But I think a lot of the stuff is also like it's networking, and you know, how do you know constantly connect and keep in touch with these people, and yeah, just keep them updated on what you're doing. So yeah, that's an amazing relationship to have, and just like the documentary in in all is just like such an important piece. And yeah, if you haven't checked it out, please do check it out.
Khaled
Yeah, it's
Brasa in Dubai, you say?
dog, it's iconic. That thing was like the most iconic piece of like content that we've seen in a while.
Damn. How do you look
So
at that piece now, bro? And so much has happened since then.
yeah, a lot. And I mean, I think it's like I said earlier, it's like a lot of stuff happened, and it's just like, yo, keep moving, you know, keep going forward, keep progressing, and like, um, you know, it's such an iconic piece that we will constantly look back to. You know, something like that is quite iconic. And the other one that I always reference was the shoot cover that we did for the plug.
With the Salah tops.
Yeah, like stuff like that. And
Yourself,
it's
Hayden,
yeah,
Imran, and
youngster.
Youngster.
Yeah, like it's iconic for Cape Town, you know. It's iconic for brown people. It's iconic, you know, for the culture at large. So it's amazing to just see those things and grow from there.
Damn, bro. Being involved in so many like beautiful things, bro, and like constantly growing in what you are today. How does Zaid stay inspired?
I probably get a lot of inspiration from traveling, and it's like the most randomest stuff, like a conversation with an Uber driver to, you know, being in the train, overhearing conversations, just like seeing reactions of people, you know. A lot of times it's like, yeah, you just have to constantly find new ways to get inspiration, but also it's like you also have to really not necessarily like go out and search for it, but just put yourself in right positions, you know, like look at how far people are really taking, you know, the boundaries, and understanding that, yo, like all of these things that are out here is really possible. And also just surrounding yourself with like fellow creatives that are doing amazing things, you know, like there's constantly inspiration, you know, like being in this room looking at this piece from Reef is like, whoa, it's inspiration, you know, it's constantly around me, and it's like how you kind of take it in, what you take from that piece. And I think ultimately that's how you grow and how you inspire other people, you know. It's always like bouncing, you know. And yeah, like I said, it's like it's a lot of day-to-day interactions, you know. Driving home, seeing a taxi full of people, thinking about like what these people are going back to, or all of that type of stuff, and understanding like, wait, what can you do to inspire these people, to brighten up people's day, and yeah, constantly like trying to change the world and protect the future. You feel me?
I get you, bro, 100%. Damn. I think now my next question is gonna go back to like grade and like what it is and what it represents. You work with a lot of young individuals, constantly having young homies do creative direction for your brand, whether it be photography, faces. How would you describe Grade's responsibility to South African youth?
So I always look at grade, and grade kind of comes from first grade. So even looking at the name and all of that, like first grade, I was like, first grade, grade, first grade, grade, which one? And the reason we kind of like stuck to grade was very much about, I see grade as a classroom. So whether your first classroom that you went to in first grade, you kind of learn a lot of like fundamentals. You know, they'll kind of teach you how to read, how to write, maybe mathematics 1 to 10, you know, and then grade 2 you learn plus minus, and you know, so in life you're constantly elevating. So you're constantly taking a step ladder, going to the next grade, the next level. Within each of those grades, you in a classroom. So that classroom is your community. So within that community, there's a diverse audience and a diverse amount of people in there. You grow with those people and constantly create new memories and all of that, you know, with those people. So that's how I always see grade, as almost like a step ladder for creatives. So if grade is doing, let's say, for example, I don't know, some campaign at Paris Fashion Week, there will often be a young photographer, a young, like some models, some creative direction, some art direction, all of that type of stuff, which is most likely going to be a localized team, you know. So those kids are now able to put that stuff on their portfolio. They able to now, you know, bridge that gaps and learn about, or be able to be recognized in different parts of the world. So if grade reaches heights, the community reaches heights. Even if one of the kids in the classroom went there, the whole classroom wins. And I always look at what, I guess, community is, right? And what is culture and what is the space. Culture to me is, I look at it as a space, I look at it as like a communal pool. You know, in a communal pool, you might have people jumping from the diving boards. You may have people learning how to swim. You may have people drowning. You may have people, you know, swimming laps and doing all of this type of stuff. So it's diverse. There's so much stuff happening. But in this culture and in this community, if you take a piss in that pool, we're all going to feel it. You know? So I think it's always about remaining, being yourself, being authentic and caring about that community. And if somebody comes in that pool with, you know, a massive amount of, I don't know, bricks or something, you know, it's like, yo, man, this community ain't for you. Like, this pool's not for you. That's not how you play here. We're all gonna feel that, you know. So I think it's like, it's to me, it's like it's a community that is like, yo, it's open to all of us to play in. But if this is a communal pool, how do we assist this community? How do we make sure that there's floaties in this pool for that kid that can't swim? You know, how do we show that, okay, cool, there's lessons for these kids that are wanting to do laps, or that want to, though, to that kid that's learning to swim, he is aspiring to jump from that diving board. So how do we, you know, allow that kid those stepping spaces, you know? And the uniform that we're all rocking in this space is grade. You feel a part of that because you're like in that grade pool, in that space. So yeah, ultimately that's how I see grade. It's bigger
Beautiful,
than like
man.
a clothing brand. It's bigger than all of that. It's just like, yo, man, I'm rocking this beanie. I feel like I'm a part of this cool club or this space, you know. and it speaks to different audiences, you know, from a 6-year-old kid that relates to Grade through a Powerpuff Girl collaboration or a Space Jam or whatever it may be, you know. So yeah, it's really just a space for everyone to
Beautiful.
to climb up, to climb down, and you know, it's just like a hub.
Damn, that's beautiful, bro. I mean, traveling is traveling is a big part of you and a big part of the reason what you do. How would you then say what makes South African youth different, bro?
Look, I mean, I think a lot of South African youth, like I look at it, like kids are putting their own touch on everything. And I think it's also because it's one, maybe like money and opportunity. So, you know, overseas you may have see kids go into Off-White and spending $200-300 on this tee, or $70-80 on this shirt, or, you know, whatever it may be. In South Africa, like that opportunity is not really there. So you see a lot of kids thrifting. You see a lot of kids putting their own touch on certain things, wearing local brands, creating a lot more items, and all of that stuff just shows uniqueness. You know, it shows that, okay, cool, like you can stand out in this kind of space and still be able to be in that same conversation. So, I mean, I always look at that and I'm like, man, this is amazing. And when the kids from South Africa or Africa go to Europe, go to the States, they stand out there also. People want to know more about you. Like, yo, man, you made it out here. Like, wow, that's amazing. You know? And especially right now with like the global kind of craze, looking at Africa, looking at Amapiano, looking at all of that, it's opening the doors for all of us. So, I mean, I think ultimately it's like, what really makes us different is the drive, and it's like it's always knowing that, okay, cool, like it's crazy because like we always look at the space of like maybe we're not in, or maybe we're in the PSL and not the Premier League, you know, of it. But when that kid makes it out of the Premier or out of the PSL into the Premier League, it's like, yo, we playing and we're growing. And that's why I always like find the importance of the international pop-ups and all of that type of stuff, because, you know, we would go to London and people would be losing their mind for the brand. You may find, again, someone from a Benin, a Nigeria or whatever, like messing with this brand because it's something that, you know, it's from home, it's from their continent, it's something that they can stand behind and represent, you know. And even just in terms of like grade and doing these pop-ups, it's so much better because you're getting paid in pounds, you're getting paid in dollars. Like it's a different world, and the support is amazing out there.
I think since we like on the emblems of like youth culture and like South African youth at large, how was the previous Cotton Fest?
Yeah, no, it was amazing, you know, to see kids come out. It was crazy. Like, I really enjoyed it. We obviously did feel a massive void in the space. But yeah, to see kids still come out, support Ricky, support the culture, it was amazing to see everyone, you know, reunited after so many years and come back with that love.
What was your biggest highlight of the event?
There was like the Ricky tribute show space that we did where we all were on stage, you know. That was amazing. Just like a whole bunch of his homies on stage going wild to his music and all of that stuff, which was amazing. I remember his brother came out and like started rapping his songs and stuff, which was amazing. The pop-ups and that type of stuff did really well. People reacted really nicely to the Great Cotton Fest collaboration.
Wow.
That was really fun. And again, all of that stuff was like planned before Ricky left us. I remember we linked up. He was like, Zaid, I need you to help out with the space. Let's, you know, make this, collaborate with like a bunch of local brands, you know, and like we went back and forth and had a list of brands that we both were like, yeah, man, these brands have consistency. You know, let's build with them. There was a couple of brands that we had on the list that couldn't make it, but it's always love.
That's beautiful, bro. Damn. Oof. R.I.P. to the greatest to ever do it, like in our generation. We still feel he's lost to this day, but I guess we sort of have to continue where he left off.
Yeah, for sure.
On a lighter note, you are obviously seen as an exemplary like individual in like the ecosystem of like entrepreneurship in the creative scene in South Africa. Shivas then went to pick you up and you became a mentor to so many key individuals. How was that process of you sort of like having a platform where you could um pass down the insights that you've sort of like learned on your journey? What were the most memorable moments and the key moments out of that whole partnership with Chivas? And I'm sure it's an ongoing relationship which led to, you know, the fashion show and the collaboration later. But I want to specifically focus on mentorship and what your views on mentorship is and how your mentorship experience was with the young people that were a part of that group.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me is we gotta find a ways to constantly pass out knowledge, you know, and I think that's what a lot of kids know. Is like, yo, man, a lot of kids have talent, you know. How do we get this talent into like an actual business? How do you kind of build with them, show them the ropes, and kind of give them that one-on-one kind of experience? They look up to me, they look up to Grade, and they're like, yo, man, like it seems you guys kind of have it together. So how can we learn from what you guys have established and all of that. And it's always something that I always try and find time for. When Shivers approached me to be a part of the campaign, I was like, yo, man, I'll do it, but it really needs to make impact. It really needs to kind of change these kids' lives, and they need to be able to put something that's together that is gonna we need to put something together that's gonna really impact these kids. And I look at it now, I'm like, the collection was cool, 3 weeks in Cape Town, living in Bantry Bay, like it was soft, it was
Super
like,
soft.
it was nice, waking up as a chef and all of this type of stuff. So just that like mindset, changed for that 3 months of like 3 weeks of like, okay, we living nice here now, and then from that going into the grade school that we had set up in our space in Woodstock, to having additional people come and speak to us. We had someone like a David Lally, a Hayden Manuel, Anina, and all of these people come speak to us, and they're talking about like how they've built their brands, their challenges, and literally having that one-on-one kind of space. I mean, it's like 5 people in the room, so it's like you can really get intimate. You can really ask the questions that you want to know from people that you look up to, and understand their challenges and where they've kind of gone, and all of that type of journeys that they've taken, to then creating the actual product range, then showing these kids like, yo, these are the factories that we're going to, these are the manufacturing, these are fabrics that we're looking at, and understanding the whole process from pattern making to the whole works, then to retailing the product and how to launch the product, really giving them like insights of like, okay, cool, get these kind of designers, get these people, this is what speaks to your brand, this is what doesn't speak to your brand. And then having a percentage of the proceeds of the sales going back to them for them to develop their own brands. So it's like a full on space of like, cool guys, let's show you it, and here's a bit of money for you to now use your brand and your business. So yeah, I mean, that partnership went on, and just in general now I'm constantly looking at like more opportunities that you can give to kids. Like I like the kind of one-on-one kind of spaces where it's like minimal kids but high impact. I look at some of the kids now. Sabelo from Richmond Scaife, I saw he just got selected to go to the G-Star headquarters.
Wow.
To do some stuff there.
Wow.
About like tailoring and all of that stuff.
Wow.
I see Robin from the program also did some stuff recently with Red Bat now.
Beautiful.
Like styling and creating upcycling and all of that type of stuff. Josh has been doing crazy photography. Lindy's pushing her brand as well. So it's been amazing to see after the program the opportunities that come, and the opportunities that are still to come. So yeah, I mean, I think I always look at this thing, I'm like, man, we're not gonna be here forever. Like, let's have fun, try to live life at the highest tier that we can, and constantly give back, constantly inspire, and constantly help people grow.
That's beautiful, bro. Damn. Flowers to Chivas for believing in the vision and like taking it further and further. I mean, because without that big of a machine, I don't
Yeah.
think none of it would be possible. You know what I mean? It's always a beautiful sight to see when big corporates like, like Chivas really like trying to get in tune with what's going on with South African youth. On an even lighter note, bro, we do know that you're big on sneakers, and it would be a sin for me not to ask you this question. What is
Yeah.
your top 5 most Grail sneakers? It doesn't have to be in any format. Like,
Yeah, like I like Jordan 3s. I like Dunks. Mm. I don't know, man. I like Jordan 3s.
oh yeah, oh yeah,
I mean, I guess like Jordan 1s
yeah,
are cool. Like I
yeah.
rock them. I'm rocking like a lot of like Solomons and stuff. More of
For comfort.
recent. Yeah, but there's also some like really amazing trail ones.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
got it
yeah,
at,
yeah,
I
yeah.
got it at Kith when I was in New York, and I was like,
Phew.
man, I need to get this.
Where's this like
Um,
sudden like emergence of Solomon's coming in, bro?
Yeah, I do see it. I do see it as well.
It's
But
coming in
dope.
heavy. It's
Dope.
fire.
It's dope.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
the running type
Mm,
spaces.
mm.
But yeah, I mean, to be honest, like I rock the shoes, I beat them up.
You
And
do
then I
beat them up.
just keep it
Yeah.
moving. It's like it's no longer like personal. Like sneakers are cool and everything, but it's just like I'm trying to create my own shoes, trying to collaborate with brands. So it's like, give me an opportunity to put my own mark on a shoe.
On a shoe.
Whether it's Reebok, whether it's Puma, whether it's Nike, Jordan, whoever. Like let's do some stuff with Grail and like again, it's like let's create some next level products. Let's up the local game and just create.
How would a great shoe look in collaboration with whoever who you envision to be? Yeah.
I think it will be like
I mean, you've done shoes before, which were
Yeah.
absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
the
the
You were actually
Grasshoppers.
one of the first homies to actually collaborate with Grasshoppers,
Yeah.
and like I think what you've done with that like relationship, bro, like you just put them in a very like luxurious pool. Because growing up
Yeah.
in Cape Town, like Grasshoppers is what we rock to school,
Yeah.
and that collaboration has to be one of my favorites, like to ever come out of Southern Africa, bro. It's just like the fabric you chose for the
Yeah.
first one, and
Yeah.
like the construction of the shoe in
Yeah.
general, dog. Like I'm still sad that like you guys didn't do another run on those.
Yeah.
But take me through that, bro. And yeah, dog. Like
Yeah, no, that was crazy. It was
Ew.
it was our first footwear collab and their first collaboration.
Exactly.
So yeah, no, that was amazing. They let us go wild with it, and just like the patterns and everything, like the amount of research, though, the timing that it took to put together, it was so wild.
You could tell.
Yeah. But we went to Grootbrach, to the factory, like Grasshopperville, dog. It was wild. Like just looking at all the fabrics, looking at what we're trying to do, how we play with it, how we construct it. And it's so crazy because like in my office, I got like so much samples of Grasshoppers just like chilling there. And I'm like, maybe we should put this one out. Maybe we should play around with that. But I think it's going to definitely be like an ongoing relationship.
Beautiful,
We will look
beautiful.
at taking it up a notch.
What has that relationship taught you?
It's cool because it's a lot of like it's so iconic, Grasshoppers, so the amount of people that come into the store to purchase it, you'll have like some old white lady to like this black auntie to like this young kid to like dog. It's like so the demographic of who wears Grasshoppers is like literally the Rainbow Nation. So it's always good because they'll come into the store, talk about their story of Grasshoppers, like, what, I haven't seen this in years, what, da, 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 da. And it's just like amazing to see like how a shoe brings people together and like how iconic it is for South Africans, So yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely more stuff that we're trying to do with them and see how far we can really take that relationship.
Beautiful, man. Damn, bro. Is there anything that you want to say to your younger self, bro?
I mean, I think ultimately it's like I'm kind of doing what I always wanted to do. So it's just like what I always just told myself is like, man, you just have to like keep it going. You got to stay consistent. So I think consistency is one thing that has like followed me my whole career. And yeah, I mean, I guess I'm proud of myself and like, being able to achieve what I've been able to achieve is quite monumental. And yeah, I guess just keep going, keep growing, and have the faith to know that you can overcome whatever it is that you need to overcome. And I think even just like, it's never the option to give up, you know, even just with like the amount of suicides and all of the stuff that's, you know, happening, and even just like the mental kind of space. It's like, it's crazy because I can understand it, you know, I can really relate and understand why people do it, but it's never the right answer. There's always, you know, a solution. There's always someone to reach out to. And, you know, I think oftentimes it's like, look closer to your circle. You know, like oftentimes we would look out like, oh, this person ignored me, or that person, but like really look at like the closest 3 to 5 people around you. You know, those are the people that have your back, will support you, and like really will want to see you grow. So I think it's definitely like, you know, understand that, it's a journey. But yeah, it's never really your option to give up. That's never an option.
Thank you so much for coming through, bro, and lending us your time.
Yes, sir.
Wishing you nothing but greatness, 100 and plus on Grail's future endeavors. I mean, you're still a young man. You still have many ideas that you wish to exercise. You play an important role in this thing that we call the culture in South Africa, and we will forever be thankful for your impact, my lord.
Nah, much love, my G. Shout out. I can eat this Kit Kat now.
Go ahead, bro.
Yes, sir. Shout out.
I am the king of the block. Louis bag, that's a lot.